Hello everybody. Next up it's the third round of the FA Cup and we've been drawn away to Stockport County. Kick-off is 8 p.m. with BT at the helm for televisual purposes. I don't suppose the Eyes Up Mother Brown mob have anything better to do, so please go and join them if you like. The match will be decided on the night with extra time and spot kicks available if required. An arrangement, I fear, will be a permanent feature of our cup competitions in years to come. So, Stockport then. Well, the old quiz question suggests that Edgeley Park is the closest ground in the top 5 divisions to the River Mersey. Trivia fans. Though if you want to go down a level or two, Northern Premier League Warrington's ground claims to be some 50 metres closer at its closest point, if you really want to start a fight with somebody about it. The Hatters are one of those teams that can be used to define a supporter's vintage or otherwise. To someone of advancing years, such as myself, they are one of those teams that one always thinks of as being in Division 3 or 4, or Leagues 1 and 2 if you must. There are dozens of them whose arrival in the Football League arrived from the absorption of a number of clubs from various regional leagues in the North and the Midlands into what was then known as Division 3 (North). As it happened, Stockport actually got relegated into that division, but they always seem to have been there or thereabouts for, well, eons. In fact, having had ownership issues over the years, which saw them dipping into administration at one point, they exited the Football League at the end of 2010-11. 2 years later, things got even worse with relegation into the second tier of non-league. Arrival into what was then called the Conference North prompted a move to part-time status. A necessary step perhaps, but one that must have hurt just a bit. Things have taken a turn for the better in recent years, however. They won the Conference North title in 2018-19. And the following season they found a new owner in the form of lifelong supporter and local businessman Mark Stott, who arrived in January 2020 with promises to restore full-time status, to gain promotion to the Football League and to establish new training facilities. Now, whilst the advent of COVID may have affected such plans, they are in good health in the National League. Daisy, the socially distant support bubbling personal assistant with a beautiful smile, informs me that, although the league has runaway leaders in the form of Torquay United, who are on 38 points, only 4 points separate Hartlepool in second, on 27 points, from Altrincham, who occupy 7th place, which is the lowest playoff place in this system, who have 23 points. Stockport sit in 4th place, with 24 points from the 14 played so far. They had a mixed festive season. On the 22nd, they went down 4-0 at fellow high flyers Hartlepool, seeing 2 red cards in the process. On Boxing Day, a late equaliser secured a point in a local derby away at Altrincham. They were due to play Eastleigh on Tuesday night, but the Spitfires, as the just outside Southampton club are known, turned in a couple of positive COVID tests, leading to the postponement of that particular match for the second time. The Hatters' reaction was to wish their opponents well, which contrasted nicely with the reaction of Everton, who wanted to see Manchester City's test results for themselves. Nice. Stockport are currently managed by Jim Gannon, who's in his 3rd spell at the helm at Edgeley Park, the Altrincham match being his 500th in charge. He also spent 10 years as a player with Stockport, leaving under something of a cloud where, following some form of disagreement over his testimonial, he took the club to an employment tribunal. Returning as manager to Stockport, at one stage he impressed enough for Brighton to offer him the managerial role at what was then the Whitdean. Gannon ummed and ahed about the move and he elected to stay at Stockport, citing his preference not to uproot his family to the south coast as the principal reason for staying. Only 10 weeks or so later, Stockport went into administration and Gannon was made redundant. It's all about the timing. Gannon did have a spell managing in the Football League, a 3-month period at Port Vale in 2011 proving particularly tempestuous. During that spell, Gannon managed to upset players, non-playing staff, supporters and local press alike, and his tenure at Vale Park is the shortest of any manager in their history. The Hatters' top scorer at present is John Rooney, who has 9 goals from the 14 games he's played so far. He arrived during the summer, having scored 17 in the Barrow side that got promoted back into the Football League last season, thus confusing the hell out of those of us who had only just gotten used to them and failing to be re-elected to the old Division 4 back in 1972. Daisy seems to think that Rooney might have a famous brother, but she couldn't be bothered to interrupt her watching of Only Connect to look it up. So I guess we'll never know. Second in the goal-scoring charts is striker Alex Reid. He's got 7 in 12 across all competitions. He's in his first season with the Hatters, having signed in the summer from Stevenage. He actually spent most of last term on loan with Dagenham and Redbridge, making 6 appearances before the season ground to its sad, shuddering halt. For this one, they may be a bit short in defence. As far as Daisy could make out, central defender Ashley "Ash" Palmer was due to miss the Eastleigh match thanks to his picking up a straight red in the Hartlepool match. As a straight red, any unserved suspension will be carried forward into the FA Cup, so it looks like he'll be missing. Let's move on, shall we, to the wild and wacky world of association football. Well, it's been a bumper week or so for those who get mightily cheesed off at the propensity of the modern professional footballer to swan around doing whatever they like, seemingly under the impression that the normal rules of society don't apply. In a spell where we've all made sacrifices, most people's Christmases being cancelled at the shortest of notice, we get treated to photographs of multi-zillionaire players, Manuel Lanzini included, grinning inanely for photographs at New Year's parties. One shouldn't be surprised, I suppose. From FIFA and UEFA all the way through to individual FAs, PGMOL, TV companies, club owners and pretty much everyone else involved in the game, all treat the normal supporter with contempt so that players thumbing their noses at us pretty much is par for the course. OK, for every player that got caught at a party last week, thousands had a quiet night in, and for every supercar wrapped around a lamppost, thousands more stayed put in the garage. However, that doesn't make things any less annoying. Usually these things result in a fine of 2 weeks' wages for the errant player, which, given the mega bucks involved, hardly seems adequate. Moving on to recent games, Jurgen Klopp was heard moaning that his team didn't get enough penalties. Yeah, seriously, that's right, the team that didn't get more than 3 minutes into the season before being awarded a spot kick that shouldn't have been given, whose players only have to be in the same postcode as a defender to get a dive away, are complaining that for once the officials didn't save them from defeat. Yeah, Man United may have got more penalties than your lot, Klopp, but consider this. What percentage of yours are actually honest? Tell you what, Jurgen, you can have the 3 points from the Southampton match if you give up 3 points from every match this season helped by an iffy refereeing decision. I look forward to your relegation 6-pointer against Sheffield United. And so on to us. There seem to be some conflicting views of the 3 points picked up at Everton. Some comments suggested that this was sort of park the bus style smash and grab effort. Not so, in my opinion. Yeah, Everton were disappointing, but though the match wasn't over-endowed with attacks, when we did pick them off, we looked a lot more urgent and much better in the attack. Yeah, there was a slight element of fortune about the goal, perhaps, but overall the performance merited the result. I thought Dawson had another good game, managing to get through a whole match without kicking anybody's head in. Rice was yet again simply magnificent, and the half hour afforded to Antonio just showed yet again how much he's missed when he's not there. The one blot on the landscape was, I suppose, the late change prompted by Fabianski pulling up lane. The Stockport match is one that would have expected him to be rested anyway, so it'd certainly be preferable for him to be rested up with his feet up. After all, look what happened last time he was injured. The transfer window is now open, of course, and we've said goodbye to Haller, who has gone with a heavy loss to Ajax. Haller's a decent player, no doubt. You don't get goals like the one against Palace without having something about you. However, in many respects, he was a typical West Ham transfer of late. The signing of a player with a decent reputation made with no real thought as to how he would fit in with the way the team actually plays. On the rare days that we played with two up front, we saw the best of him. Overall, he was the wrong player at the wrong time. Of course, with Antonio still working his way back to fitness, we obviously will have a replacement in mind and set up ready to go, surely. I mean, hopefully we wouldn't be daft enough to sell the one actual striker at the club without something being sorted out. Again, would we? We've also bid farewell to Robert Snodgrass. Never a world beater, but he always put in a decent shift, despite both the chairman and vice chair of our club rather disgracefully going into print to belittle the player during his West Ham career. The vice chair's use of her, no doubt handsomely remunerated, newspaper column was particularly distasteful, not to mention daft. I mean, if you really didn't rate a player and wanted shot of him, what better way to drive the transfer fee down by going to print and telling the world that the player's rubbish? Just one of a number of occasions in which that column has brought the club into disrepute. Comments of that nature must have hurt and irritated the player in equal measures, but, to Snodgrass's credit, he dealt with them with infinitely more dignity than either deserved. Anyhow, we wish Snodgrass well, with the obvious exception being made for when our clubs actually meet. Apart from Fabianski, and of course Arthur, we will also be without Fredericks, who's developed COVID and has big yellow strips of sticky tape across his front door. Other than that, one would expect the likes of Johnson, Diop and Noble to get a game. There have also been stirrings that the youngster Mipo Odubeko might be in with a shout. Likened in some quarters to a certain Mr. Defoe, he was watched by Mr. Moyes in a recent match and is believed to have impressed. He's been capped at various age levels by the Republic of Ireland, so he might be thinking about purchasing an apostrophe for his surname at some stage. Prediction? Well, this is one of those that will all be about attitude. We saw last year at AFC Wimbledon what happens when you go into a game and swan about playing what John Sitton used to refer to as the Bertie Big Bollocks against lower league opposition. Obviously, any of the younger players involved will be out to impress. And let's face it, Mark Noble won't be found wanting in the taking it seriously department. There might, however, be one or two out there from the first 11 squad not getting regular pitch time, going into this one with a slightly different mentality, and that would be of concern. Prediction? Well, all things being equal, the distance between the teams in the pyramid structure should be enough to see us through. But one wouldn't be a true hammer without some shuddering memories from the past projecting a nagging doubt. So far this season we've done okay against lower league sides in the League Cup, with professional wins against Charlton and Hull, the latter in the face of some terrible challenges. On the whole, I'm going to go for an away win this time, so the £2.50 that would have gone on buying the world's smallest violin to play to Jurgen Klopp will instead go on a 3-1 win to us. Make it so, Mr. Winston. Enjoy the game.